Audio.etc. is proudly supported by Auto Sound and Security. Good morning guys, how's it going? James here at Audio.etc. Finishing off the sand deadening in the front doors of my Legacy today. Did the driver's one yesterday that you guys saw. Today I'm going to finish off doing the passenger's one, since yesterday all I really got to do was treat the wiring. So I'll be b.a.m the outer skin and dynamating the inner skin just the same as that side. And I'm hoping to get that done in a nice quick time so that I can go and install my new crossovers in the boot here. Here's the current crossovers, the Focal PS165FX two-way crossovers. The new ones are going to look exactly the same as that, except they're for the F3 set, which is a three-way component, and that should be really easy. And I'm thinking I'll also be able to put the new tweeter in the passenger's tweeter pod here today, because I just had a look at it, gave it another quick coat, and I think it's looking like it's almost ready to be put in. I did just put one more coat of paint on it just now. That'll dry over the course of today, and I think once this one is dry, it'll be ready to go in. So before I get into rambling on and on for minutes and minutes about anything camera related, let's get into a time lapse and get this sound deadening knocked out. You guys know how I do it. Clean the surface, got the fan heater going, that heats the metal up. Heating the metal up just makes it a lot easier for the sound deadening material to stick to it, you know. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, there we go guys, the battery died just almost all the way through the sound deadening process there, but I'll show you what I've done now. I might have to finish this sound deadening job or working on my car today up early, because we've actually got a customer's car in now. There's a Navara over there that needs a stereo and a reversing camera installed, and customers come first, duty does have to wait, so I'll have to jump off of this once I'm finished with the front door here, and then hop onto that and then try and install a reversing camera. But let me show you what I've got going on here now. Just got the little heater on it for a wee bit, just warming up the dynamite, because it kind of makes it a bit stickier and makes everything glue up a bit harder. And then once you turn it off, it sets again, obviously. So I'm just going around looking for spots that need pushing down. But anyway, it's all looking pretty good. Got double layer over this big hole, same as the other one. Great big sheet, which you can kind of see the edge of there, which covers up this big hole and seals off that gap where these wires come out of. Another couple of big pieces all the way along here to cover this big hole, and another big piece up here as well. I saw in some of the comments for yesterday's video, people were saying that it wasn't good enough just to put, dynamite over top of holes, because it doesn't completely seal it. Yes, it's not going to completely seal it, because obviously you can have holes in the door regardless. There's a great big hole up the top here that you can't seal off, and people were worrying that it was going to flex too much. To be honest, I hear what you guys are saying, but honestly it's good enough. I've been doing this in cars for a long time, and this double layer thing does work. Like, see, if I push on this, it doesn't look like it's really flexing that much to me. That's quite rigid. This one's the same. This one is a wee bit less rigid because it's a bigger hole, but you can see there's only very minimal movement there. It would take an awful lot of air pressure for the woofer to be able to push that out backwards, and I don't think that's going to happen. It's a 6-inch woofer, not a subwoofer. It'll be fine. All the deadening is meant to be, deadening out the metal more than it is meant to be sealing the door off, because the door is not going to be sealed. You can't seal a door completely off as an enclosure. It does help, but it's not entirely sealed. So this double layer of dynamite, sorry, but I'm making an executive call. I think it's good enough. It works good for me. I've done it in plenty of customers' cars, and it always sounds good afterwards. So that's what I'm doing. But yeah, only thing I've really got left to do now, because I'm pretty happy with how this door is. I'm pretty sure I've got all the spots that need to be pushed down. Only thing I need to do now is put some crimps on the new tweeter wire ends, mount the new tweeter in the pod, attach it all up and put the door card back on. Although maybe I'll wait for that because the tweeter pod over there is probably still drying. I might do that at the end of the day if I get a chance. I'll break out of the camera and I'll quickly mount the tweeter in the pod, put some crimps on it, get it on the door, and we'll see how it looks. But for now, anyway, I can at least put crimps on this end. Oh, that's the wrong crimp. Only thing I would say about this Focal 16 gauge flat wire is that while the core of the copper does fit into these red crimps, which are like the smallest size gauge wise, but the problem is the insulation doesn't really fit into the red crimp. The insulation fits into the next size up, which is the blue one. So it's kind of annoying because it means if you use a red one then you have to put some tape around the ends here so that there's no copper exposed behind the crimp. But if you use a blue one, then there's a chance that it could just fall off because the metal crimp isn't tight enough on the copper. But oh well, a bit of tape's not too hard to do, it's just annoying, you know. It's just me whinging. Right, what can I do? I could probably put the woofer back in if I had a screwdriver. Oh, I just realised I need to put some dynamite here. There's a hole that I haven't covered up. This just goes... Oh, I just realised I haven't plugged this in wherever this goes. I have to find the hole. That goes in there. And this goes over here. There we go. Cool. There we go. Okay. That door is done, ready to go back together. I'm going to hook those up there so that when I put the after I put the door cover back on, I can still put the tweeter pod on. Yep, I'm happy with that. Let's put the door cover back on. Okay, got the car back together. I'm gonna stop working on it now, pause the recording, and I'll catch back up with you guys at the end of the day. And I'll do a listening test and see what we get up to around then.
6.5 hours later.
Okay guys, I managed to get everything done on the Ford Ranger. I got the camera done, Grant's just finishing up with the stereo. So now I can, for the last part of the day, it's 4 o'clock, just get one more thing done on duty before I go. I am going to put the new tweeter in its location. The pod's looking really good. It's pretty much dry. There's only just a few absolutely tiny remaining visible scratches under the paint, but they are on the backside and going to be very hard to see, and the finish is looking as close to the left one, as close to the driver's one as I think I'm going to get it, so I'm going to run with it as it is now. It's looking pretty good. So the way I mount this, so got the pod, there's a hole for the wiring there and a hole drilled down the middle. Here's my tweeter cup. I've just got using a nut and bolt sort of situation rather than a self-tapping screw, because I was finding, well, it's just a wee bit worried about putting a self-tapping screw into all that bog just in case it like fractured it or split it or something like that. Anyway, there's a bolt that I shortened and also filed the top of this head very, very slimline and flat, so now it countersinks into the bottom of this cup. And this just goes in there. For some reason the cup doesn't go all the way in. What's going on? Probably just a wee bit of something that is sitting down on the very bottom, because this just isn't quite going all the way in for some reason. I'm just going to try and get rid of some of the high spots that are at the bottom of here. Alright, let's see if this cup goes in a bit better now. It's still a wee bit high, I don't really know why though. It's a wee bit better. That's sitting down flatter now. Cool. Put the bolt through. That's all good. Now I can tighten the nut up, even though it's not really going to go that tight because of this washer being on a big angle, but that's fine. Now the tweeter goes in. Let me get it. Okay, the screw needs to come off. Thread the wire through the hole. Now, I always hate mounting these tweeters in these cups. They're actually a lot harder than what it should be. Never always quite wants to go all the way in. Oh wait, this one might be working. So you got to get 3 little tabs perfectly lined up and it in deep enough, and then you can use this, the key, to twist. Oh, look at that, it worked on the first go. That never happens. There's my tweeter. Nicely mounted. Looks good. That's fine. And now this little grill just goes over top. Like that. Push. Cool, now we can put this in the door. I just remembered there are 2 things that I've forgotten to put on it. First, this thing there, and then this doodacky just goes over top of here. It's like a wee bit of factory sound deadening, kind of, like that. Okay, so I am going to have to put some crimps on here, and then that will just go up in there. Okay, crimps. Okay, crimps are on. Let's plug this on. This goes on that side first, and then just wraps around and clips in. There we go, it's in. Nice. It's the, I like it, looks good. Let me turn the torch on so you guys can see. There we go. Nice, I like it. Sweet as, there we go guys. I think we can say now that the front doors are finished, the back doors are finished, the sound deadening in all the doors is finished, the new woofers in the front are in, the new tweeters are in, just got the mid-ranges and the crossovers to go. Don't think am I doing anything tomorrow? What am I doing tomorrow? Oh yeah, I told you I was gonna give you guys a listening test so we could see how bassy it was without the subwoofer and things like that. And this will be the first time using this microphone to test audio, so hopefully it sounds good. By the way, unfortunately I missed out on that Rode Video Micro that went for near RRP on Trade Me last night, which is pointless if you can just buy it brand new with a warranty. Right, let's have a listen here. Now, let's set it to just the front speakers for now. Subwoofer is turned all the way down, fader and balance, fade it to just the front. So we just got it set to the front speakers, and I'm going to turn the crossover off. Actually, because how low does this crossover go? It only goes, unfortunately the crossover on this only goes down to 50 Hertz. I do wish it went a wee bit lower. The Alpines can actually go all the way down to 20. I'm going to use Gangsta's Paradise because that's a good bassy song, and I just realised I forgot to turn the actual crossover off. Front high pass filter off. Okay, here we go. And listening position needs to be off. There we go. Take a look at my life and realize there's nothing left, 'cause I've been blasting and laughing so long that even my mama thinks that my mind is gone. Let's go to the back speakers now and see what sort of bass we can get out of those. Okay, here it is. All the speakers going, the crossovers are set. No subwoofer whatsoever. The subwoofer is on 0. Let's turn the mute back off and we'll see what it sounds like. We'll go back to the beginning. See, this is sub. No sub. As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I take a look at my life and realize there's nothing left, 'cause I've been blasting and laughing so long that even my mama thinks that my mind is gone. But I ain't never crossed a man that didn't deserve it. As they croak, I see myself in the pistol smoke. Guys, that is sounding so much better. That's far better than I was expecting. I don't know whether it's making much difference, the fact that I'm still using the old 2-way crossovers with these now 3-way design speakers. So the 165 F3 mid basses are currently producing more mid-range than they're probably used to, but I'm sure it's fine. But the amount of mid bass now coming into this car versus what it was is phenomenally better. And now the difference between subwoofer on and off is actually a lot harder to notice. It's like a lot more subtle. The subwoofer now only really accounts for the absolute bottom subsonic stuff, and now all the mid bass is coming from the speakers, which sounds so much cleaner than having the mid bass coming from the subwoofer. Oh, that's so good. I love it. Much better. Let me show you. I got my crossover set at, because I was just playing with them a wee bit, and I think I got them set pretty well, just sort of changing them while I'm listening to the song, seeing where it starts to make a difference, where it doesn't make a difference. So the subwoofer is obviously just set a pretty standard 80 Hz, and I've got it set at 18 decibel slope. You can see it here, the subwoofer in blue goes across to 80 Hz, goes down at 18 decibel slope, because I don't want it to go too high. I like keeping the subwoofer in a real low range. The front, I've got it set to a high pass filter of 50 Hz and a slope of minus 18 decibels per octave. So that was sounding really good. I was, playing around trying it versus having it at a lower frequency with a steeper, decline or octave, versus having it at a higher frequency with a shallower decline. And personally, it was sounding better having it lower with a sharper one, because if I'm having it lower, I definitely want a sharper curve so that I'm still not allowing too much infrasonic or speaker killing frequencies into the woofers. So I've got it set nice and low at 50 Hz. It was producing the frequencies cleanly, and then going sharp down and stopping at about 40 Hz sort of thing. And then the rear I've actually got at 63 Hz, so it starts to cut off a bit earlier, but it's only at a minus 6 decibel slope, so it goes down much slower, and it goes almost all the way to the bottom. There was actually amazing sub bass coming from the rear doors. I don't know why, but somehow more than the front. It must just be to do with the resonant frequency of the air volume in the doors, and there was really good mid bass, sub bass coming from there. So that's my crossover setup. I know some of you guys will be like, sweet ass. Some of you guys will be like, that's terrible, you shouldn't do that. You should always have your speakers high pass to 80 Hz and straight down and keep them safe. But these speakers are good. They can handle it. It sounds good in here. I'm always going to do what sounds best over what is supposed to be right, if you know what I mean. So if I got in a car and I RTA'd it and I saw it had a boosted frequency here or there on the RTA, and then I cleaned it up and made it all flat, if I thought it sounded better having spikes in the frequency response at the bass end or at the treble end, I'm always going to do what ultimately sounds best, because that's the whole reason you do car audio. You want best sound. There's no point in having, there's no point in being able to look at your sound system, analyze it on a computer, and say that looks perfect if it doesn't sound as good. So always do what sounds the best to you. And of course that's subjective, but when I say that, you also have to be very careful of distortion. If you're going to have loud sound systems, you guys, I know you guys know this, but I'm reminding the people out there who might be watching this video who maybe are new to car audio, be careful of distortion, because distortion kills speakers and subwoofers and amps and everything. It's not good, is the easiest way to put it. So if you're playing music loud, make sure it's a good clean audio file, either purchased off a online web store or iTunes or something like that, or it's a CD. The best things, like what I was just playing there, that Gangster's Paradise, is a FLAC file. If you know what an MP3 is, that's about 320 kilobits per second at its best rate. A FLAC file can go up to about 1411 kilobits per second, I think. So it's literally quadruple the quality and also quadruple the size of the file, so that's something to consider. But the best thing you can do to play music loud is just make sure that you're playing perfectly clean audio files, and then almost no matter what you do to your stereo system, it's going to come out, it's not going to just damage the speakers. One way you can damage your speakers, in saying that though, is if you went across to say EQ and you went boof, 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 and you set them all up to really high, or if you use something in, I think my one has it. Oh wait, no, my stereo does not have it. I was looking for something called bass booster. If you ever see a bass booster in a stereo, don't use them. I think those sort of things are built into some amplifiers, like EQ boost and bass boost are built into stereos and amps, because they probably help if you're running factory speakers to get a bit more bass out of them. Obviously don't expect them to last very long, but they will produce more bass. But don't ever do them with, you know, nice expensive aftermarket speakers that you know, hold some value in, because all it's doing is increasing those bass frequencies, essentially gaining them up. It's not that easy to do it in a very, very clean way. Only very good brands of amplifier are able to do that. Like, you know, I know Audio.etc has something called I've forgotten what it's called, Bass. I haven't heard it, but I'm sure Audio.etc being a very good brand of amplifier, that their one is pretty decent. But to be honest with you guys, I probably still would not use it. This always happens, doesn't it? I always start talking about something and then go off on a tangent and end up rambling. Anyway, long story short, it sounds frickin' awesome in here. I'm trying to cut down on my swearing. The tweeters look good. I don't know if they sound good or not, because they're not currently hooked up. The tweeters at the moment are the ones that are from the PS165 FX that are still on the dash under these grills up here. But soon I shall have these ones in the new pods hooked up and going, and they are going to sound way better because they are on axis. Both of them are on axis with my face. That one is pointing directly at me, and that one is pointing directly at me, so it should sound good. And the treble should sound way less boosted as well, because at the moment they're firing against the windscreen, and windscreens are like satellites. They naturally reflect and amplify sound. I don't know why. It's just because it bounces up, hits it, and then kind of disperses out and comes at you with a lot more force. Giggity. But it should sound better with the tweeters in these pods going, and then the mid-range is up there. And I think maybe that will even have a good effect, having the mid-ranges up there, because I feel like it will really sort of just lift up the vocals that little bit. I don't know. A lot of people say don't ever have speakers on top of the dash, but you know, I'm here now. I might as well see what it sounds like. Anyway, yeah, there we go. Sound deadening complete. Not of the whole car. Of course I've got more to do. Got to do the back section of the car, got to do the rear wheel arches, potentially do the roof. I'm not sure. There will be more videos. But the doors are all done, and I am so much better for it. The mid bass is just bang on in here. Hopefully the microphone that I've got did it a wee bit of justice. I'm sure it did a better job than what the GoPro's mic did, but I'll leave that up to you guys to decide. So, thank you for watching today's video, guys. I hope you have enjoyed it. I think I will be continuing on this tomorrow. It really depends on my workload or if I've got customers' cars to do, but thanks for watching. Choose to be happy, and I will catch you tomorrow. Kite Ano.